Hey everyone, Dave Hawkins over here, aka Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. Welcome to part 5 of my Captain Marvel Candour. So the movie's been out for over a week, and yeah, it's divisive to say the least. Mostly by people that have their own agendas, whether you're a conservative crybaby or a social justice warrior. It is kind of difficult within all that noise to find somebody that has an objective opinion, of the movie. One YouTuber that I saw that has an objective opinion is Tyrone Magnus, someone that I don't really follow as much, but sometimes I see a video that looks interesting and I'll click on it. And he hated the movie to a degree where he had to make a video, where people were saying that since he didn't like the movie, they were unsubscribing to him. The guy has close to 2 million views. So if he loses one subscriber to 100,000 subscribers, he's still good. But that's a sad state, and this is one of those things that annoy me about social justice warrior sycophants. It's like, oh, since someone didn't like this, a pox on you, which, as much as I enjoyed Captain Marvel, it has its flaws, some glaring ones. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. The certified criticism of Captain Marvel. Now, before I go in, I have to state something. I am a movie buff. I am not trained in film. The only course I took about movies in general was an intro to film course. But, when I go into some technical aspects, it is not from an educated side or a professional side. It's just as an observer, okay? So let me start with one personal gripe that I have. This is not objective. This one is personal. This is not a feminist movie. This should be a feminist movie. And I say that not because I have an agenda. It's because Carol Danvers is, the comic book symbolism of feminism. She was created that way in the 60s. So the only two feminist things you kind of got was one person making this comment is like, oh, beautiful, you should smile more. And then playing I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt towards the end of the movie. Other than that, this is not a feminist movie. Heck, the Wonder Woman movie was more of a feminist movie. Yeah, I said it, and a video is coming from that, so stay tuned. All right, so let's get that out the way. Let's go into some criticism, constructive ones. First, let me just state that Clark Gregg and Lee Pace, aka Agent Coulson, and Ronan the Accuser were wasted in this movie. There was no need to have them. You could have swapped those two out with any extra, and it would not have made a difference. So, another problem is, what's good about Winter Soldier, Civil War, and Infinity War is the fact that it is very, it's very consistent and very concise, despite having two directors. This movie has two directors, and the movie feels inconsistent, where in the very beginning, all the way up to towards the end of the third act, after the first action sequences are done, and the third act where the action sequences starts again, you can tell that that's directed by one of the directors, while the chunk of the middle is directed by another director. And the movie does feel uneven in that way. So there's that. There's also the pacing in this movie. Now, in my review, I said that the pacing was good, and it is, but I don't think that's towards the direction. I think that's more because you have really good actors that had great chemistry and were great with their craft. If you chose different actors to be in those roles, yeah, I think people would have noticed the pacing a lot more, okay? So there's that. I stated that this was a Phase 1 movie, and it is definitely a Phase 1 movie, but the writing is bad. And I'm not one to talk about writing really as much, but, the way Carol Danvers was written in this movie, you didn't really get her origin about her herself. You know she was a warrior from the Kree. You know she was an air pilot, in the military, and she's a combatant. She's a warrior, okay? But what drove her to be that? They didn't really delve into her character as in depth as they could have. You got some flashes here and there, and justifiably, I can see that she's as amnesia. So she has amnesia. So she's trying to piece some things together. But they could have flushed her inner character out a little bit more and much better. So there's that. And the biggest complaint that I have is that the movie itself is very artificial when it comes to the 90s. Despite my disdain for X-Men Days of Futures Past, it took place in the 70s, and you got the feel for the 70s, In this movie, it takes place in the 90s. You didn't feel the 90s. It was like they were just pounding you with imagery and sounds, but you didn't feel like you were actually in the 90s. It was just them telling you, hey, Blockbuster, this is the 90s. Hey, dial-up speed modem problems. This is the 90s. Hey, look at some of the soundtrack. Look at the songs. Listen to the songs. This is the 90s. Well, then again, I love the soundtrack because it is 90s. But even at that, it was like, it wasn't organic. It was artificial. So those are my certified criticisms of the Captain Marvel movie. Agree? Disagree? Please drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave and on Twitter and Instagram as TokenDave80. Subscribe and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Dave Hawkins, aka Token Dave, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of y'all later.